What's up, guys? This is day 25 of a 100-day Macmo challenge. It's a quarter already and I am shocked. Today we're gonna we're gonna talk about whether I ever lied to you in the agency's content, in my personal content. Have we lied to our clients as an agency? All this stuff. And we're gonna see whether you have to be lying as an entrepreneur to get the trust of your audience and other insights, right? Let's get into it. So, why I wanted to raise the question? There is an insight. No one cares about your wins more than you do. So show your wins. That's how you get your stock price up. And I want to start with all this philosophy. If you want to increase the prices, the level of your works, which we are doing slowly, but we're struggling with that, we want to increase the cost of our projects. And now we cannot get to the level of them costing 5,000, but we know that they are worth it and even more. Brutally honest. Now, how do we make that? We show the cases that have wow effect, that are impressive a lot, and that cost this amount or more. We're showing here's the case, 5K. That's what we did, and exactly the flow. That's actually the reel that I'm preparing right now to show case that costs 5,000, the effect, like the result, wow effect on all the pages. Show the cost. And these are the stages. So we filled in the pre-brief call, sales call, onboarding, research phase, presented the results, wireframes, app design, approved that, and then some other stuff, right? So it depends based on the project. And I am working on that. It takes up the time. We're not posting a lot on the social media right now. So I want to prepare a project like that to show the level of work. And I heard this example from real estate. If you're in real estate and you're selling houses, you closed 3 deals, right? And you cannot get with your deals to the point of 1.5 million, let's say. So what you're doing is you can publish an article or on LinkedIn or anywhere else that you closed the deals that was 1.5 million, but you actually closed 3 deals instead of 1. So the only detail is that you are fixing here is the fact that 1.5 million is not the cost of 1 deal, it's cost of 3 deals, and you're saying not a deal but deals. That's it. Most of the people, really 90% of the people, will not even read into that, even more, 96% of the people. And that's what you can do if you're starting out in business. Essentially, you can... I'm going to reveal the secret, because now I can. So, we're always saying that the age or experience of our team is 4 years. 4 years of experience. But we existed only for 1 year. And some of the team members worked for 2 years on the market. Some of the team members worked for 3 years on the market. I worked for 5 years on the market. So how do we calculate the number for? It was the average number to tell you. That's the biggest lie we did. People not trusting specialists who are young. People not trusting specialists who are sometimes women. People do not trust specialists who are different from them. And we are targeting men in their 40s and 50s, and we are women in our 20s. And we know the tendency of older men being attracted to younger women. I'm so funny. I should be starting out a stand-up here. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking that when you're totally different from the client you're trying to reach out to, it's hard to change the visual data to relate to them. You cannot do that with body mirroring techniques. So you only can do that through competence, through showing the wow level of works, showing your wins all the time, and the example that I told you from real estate. I should actually calculate the number of projects we had, because we had around 100 projects right now. I'm talking about me. Yeah. Well, so the agency had around 30 projects or something, and I personally had, I don't know, more than 100. I'm not lying right now. I just didn't calculate. We have a table of just general portfolio that I have. It's definitely over 100. It's like 200, but there are projects that are included that are of good quality. So I'm not including projects that are of bad quality or small projects. So it's definitely something around 300 or 400, but big projects like 200. So I have to publish the numbers and tell you. What else about lying? When I was starting out the mentorship program, UX design, I lied. I actually lied half of my time when I was UX designer about the age and experience. So when I had 2 years of experience, I would say I have 3. When I had 3, I would say I have 4. Right now, I definitely have 5. Okay, 22, started at 18, 28. Yes, I was like 4.5. It's soon going to be 5, almost lying. And it's so freeing to tell that right now and not be worried if somebody's gonna figure out that I'm an imposter. I'm not anymore, and I do not think actually that these numbers actually matter. If you're saying 4 years or 5 years, first of all, nobody's gonna care. Second of all, it doesn't tell your expertise. If you're saying like $1 million cost of a deal or $1.5 million cost of a deal, I don't think that at that level of million it matters anymore. The details of a number. It's just the level of people you're talking to, level of personal collection you're able to handle, the level of projects you're able to handle. So there is a range, but not the particular numbers that they matter. Another insight right now. So apart from lying, these are all the things that I had to confess, I guess, to tell you honestly, to tell our story. Apart from that, yeah, 5 years, they were pretty harsh. I started out when I started studying at the university, and that's been 5 years ago, and it was interesting because I could not sit still. After I finished school, I passed the exams. I used to be so harsh on myself. When I prepared for exams, I literally, I woke up at 5 and studied and went to school and got back and studied until 12 or something, and then again, and I did sport constantly. It's amazing, the discipline that I trained at that age. And when I was passing the exams, I knew almost all the questions by heart. I remember that recently I talked to my brother, and he's like at the age of passing the exams, and I tried to remember all this stuff. I obviously forgot all this shit, but I was so disciplined and so organized and so hardworking and had so many plans, so many problems to solve. When I passed the exams and entered the university, I'm like, what I'm doing now. So from the back of my career, I should actually make another reel of what I did before the agency, which ways I worked. And one of the things I did was teaching English to kids, like a teacher. That's I can never do that in my life. And right now, actually, it's funny. Sometimes I would see moms of kids that I used to teach 5 years ago, and they would really run out to me at the streets, and they're like, "Hey, can you? Are you still teaching the English?" I'm like, "No, but can you like help us out? We'll pay you. We'll do whatever you say." And I'm like, "Do you know English just for yourself? Do you know English just for the business? Well, but do you have like an hour free or something?" So I'm really being attacked here all the time about English teaching skills, and I think that's a huge job that requires a lot of attention and energy, and I'm not the person to do that. I was bored. I felt nothing to do. I had to do something, and right after that, like a couple of months, and I started doing the design. And the design initially was at such a primitive level. I should make a comparison of my first works and first things that I created and things that I create right now, which is astonishing. So apart from that, that's like my short story should tell you more. Maybe the projects I worked on, significant moments, turning points in my life. I'll make a reel about it. Insight number 2. They should see your brand 7 times in different places and contexts to remember your brand. I got this definitely from Siri in branding by Andrei Fedorev, so there is a branding specialist in my country. And another example I have for this. Yesterday I was listening to a podcast by Andrew Bustamante and Stephen Bartlett, and that was also Andrew's wife, Jihi Bustamante, right? And the comment section was so crazy there. So Andrew Bustamante is essentially a CIA agent, ex-CIA agent. Somebody claims that he can't be ex-CIA, like there was never a CIA officer that is ex, etc. But the podcast is, maybe that's fiction, maybe that's manipulation, different versions. It was interesting. What he said, he was telling how surveillance teams are working, and he was telling that you essentially have to see the same car or the same person in different locations, and it takes an average normal person around 7 interactions to remember that person, but you should be able as an agent to do that faster and to notice people who like conducting the surveillance on you faster to win the game. To save your life, essentially. And that got in my mind. I'm like, there are so many ads, so many brands, we're so saturated with that. People have to see, let's say you're selling hoodies, your hoodie on a celebrity that they like, then on a blogger on the YouTube that they like talking about it. They should see out on the street. They should hear somebody from their like personal circle talk about that. And for a person to go research your website, to go look at the models that they have, right? It takes at first to remember it, and that can be around 7 interactions, which is a lot. Now, another part of that would be time. They might remember your brand, but it might like be 2 months when it would come turn autumn from summer, and only then they'd be able to buy a hoodie because they need one when they're cold. Before that, they don't care. So it takes 7 interactions in time for people to, from the first moment when they see your brand to interaction. So be really active, like put your stuff out there in really different contexts. It's all strategic stuff. Another insight: don't skip, it gets accumulated. If you're trying to reach a really huge goal, it requires a lot of work. If you're trying to get the body of your dreams, it requires a lot of training and consistent nutrition. If you're trying to build a company, it requires a lot of work, a lot of iterations, a lot of calls, etc. Any goal, you can take any goal. Now, when you are doing one positive thing a day, it gets accumulated, but it's good, right? But the problem here is that I noticed is if you're skipping one day, it gets accumulated. Yesterday I skipped a recording day. That is the second video that I'm doing, and it's harder to do 2 videos because you don't have enough insights and you have to think about it, and you have to go and change your clothes specifically to make it seem that it's a different 2 days. So I'm lying here right now. There are a lot of truths behind the camera. Like really, people are showing in the camera the thing that they want you to see, and the rest they're not showing. So yeah, I'm lying right now. That's not the different day from the previous video. That's the same day. Stuff gets accumulated, whether it's good stuff or bad stuff. And that's how I had periods when I trained a lot, and I had periods when I did not train, didn't do sport for like a year, half of a year, and that's when I felt the shittiest. Now, when you skip one day, it's okay. When you skip 2 days, it's okay. But then it gets accumulated, it's harder and harder for you to go back on the track. So you're skipping like half of a year until, I don't know, you're feeling really bad and you're taken out to the hospital, or like, I don't know, you have other problems. Until you get the motivation to work out. And same happens with business. So skipping is dangerous. Even if you're tired, as Leila Moses says, fuck the mood, follow the plan. Another insight. 3. The creative process is not to be rushed like in school. It should be going back and forth. Right now I have 2 pro bono cases, and I'm trying. I have 2 different thoughts in my head. They are debating, battling. So one part of my head is thinking I should close these pro bono cases. They are taking up too much of my time, too much of my energy. I should be focusing on the business, on SOPs, and on sales. Another part of my brain is thinking these are strategically beneficial. I have such a carte blanche. Like, I've got the clients who have where I have creative freedom. I can essentially do whatever I want with their brands. I can create such a badass stuff here and elevate our costs and elevate our services a lot. So I right now I'm moving with this strategy. And I was saying that when this first part of my brain is trying to rush things with the creative process just to close that's not about money, it's hard to control it. That's like this is business and creative part. When you are rushing stuff, you won't get a creative outcome. That's why it is hard to produce content that is of high quality and that is not rushed. If only you're not delegating that. We're not delegating the content. So it's either creative once in a month, or most likely it is produced in bulk of a lower quality. I put in a lot of sense in each post that I make, in each video that I make. I do care. When I'm writing insights, when I'm telling you them, when I'm editing the video, I try to put in the best of my soul in it, all my heart in it, all my attention in it. Sometimes I lack the attention, I lack the energy. And the last one, I guess, insight for today. Being a good leader is not a gift. It comes through work, and responsibility is heavy. You can't lift it all at once, but you have to train the muscles. I don't think that anybody is born being a good leader. Everybody has so many trauma, so many weird stuff growing up, so many emotional instability. So essentially, when you're a kid cannot be a leader. They cannot handle the pressure, the stress, the responsibility, define the goal clearly, set an example for kids, be disciplined. That's almost opposite. That's opposite of the kid's nature. And we are all kids when we are born, right? So when we are growing up, we have to get rid of all these childish, infantile things to become a leader. That's why nobody is born to be a leader. You have to train that. And you have to train that like a muscle. If you're thinking that you'd be able to emotionally control yourself and work in a positive way, just with one decision, you won't. It really takes the time, it really takes the experience and wisdom and training again and again and again to get there. It's really like lifting dumbbells. Do not expect yourself to be perfect, and if you're not perfect, do not get upset, because you can train again and again tomorrow. I often get upset of me being not perfect in calls, of me not handling myself correctly, of me having to go back and read the messages that I paused, or when I talk to my team, I have to maybe record a call and go back and see what are my flows, where I fucked up. It's painful, but that's all lifting the dumbbells to get your arms really strong and fit. So entrepreneurship, as you can see, is showing all of human flaws, and if you can translate that in your entrepreneurship approach that you have in a company, if you can translate that in a personal life, right? Like fixing the different divisions of your life, experimenting, assigning priorities and budgets to dealing with the problems as they come up. It's really beneficial then in personal life. So these are all insights for today, and I will see you tomorrow, and I'll fit in insights in one topic. I guess the topic is going to be either about SOPs in a company, or yeah, I defined the topic. See ya.